The Strait of Hormuz is the hot topic of this week, with President Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent coming out and saying that there's likely a deal to be reached with Iran maybe today, if not tomorrow. So that's really good news for the prices of oil and gas. And we've already seen the price of oil futures. The price per barrel has come down to 4% or about $76 per barrel. So that'll be nice for all of us, especially for those of us that like to fill up our tanks later in the week. So we should expect some lower prices at the pump. So really good news there. In other news, quarterly earnings have recently been released, and a whopping 84% of companies have beat their analyst revenue expectations. And that is a huge number. Normally, we see them sitting about maybe 75%, which is still very strong. We've seen US companies really dominate their analyst expectations over the last couple of years, but 84% is a tremendous number. Companies like Meta, Apple, Facebook, Caterpillar, and Palantir specifically, their revenue is up like 149%, and their stock shares have jumped about 26% just in the last couple of days. So that is a huge jump for one particular company. Now, Palantir specializes in technology, more specifically AI. So AI has really become the dominant figure behind quote unquote technology companies, right? Normally, when people were investing in technology as a sector, you thought bigger names like Google, you thought Amazon, you thought maybe Tesla or Meta, right? All of those big names tend to stick out. But as we've seen this shift really towards AI, it's going to be the technology companies that are focusing on AI that I feel are going to really dominate over the next several years, if not within the next decade or two. So again, it's just something to keep in mind, and something as investors could do and say, hey, I don't own Palantir stock. And you might have a little bit of FOMO, like, wow, I missed out on this huge rate of return, but don't feel remiss by it. You know, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for additional AI technologies to be built in to your portfolio. And if this is something that you're not really too sure of, then, you know, call an expert for help, right? Call a certified financial planner, call someone that specializes in investment management and speak to them and say, hey, what sort of technology can I integrate into my portfolio that's really specializing in AI? Because that's really where a lot of the performance drivers are going to come from. So again, I think it's going to be a good week for the markets, if not a great week. Again, we're seeing the Strait of Hormuz potentially come to a deal today or tomorrow, which is awesome. And we're seeing US companies just absolutely dominate the marketplace once again. So a lot of good news this week, which is always what I love to talk about, and looking forward to hopefully some more good news in the near future.